The patrol ship Iron Watch moved slowly through the empty stretch of stars. Its engines hummed in steady rhythm as it followed the long, dull route given by command. The ship was not large, not a warship meant for battles, but a patrol vessel, built to watch borders, scan for smugglers, and carry out simple guard duty. Inside the control chamber, a young soldier named Aaron sat at his station. He was not the most experienced officer on board, but he was alert, focused, and curious. Unlike many others who grew tired of endless space patrols, Aaron kept his eyes on the scanner, watching for the smallest change. He believed even the smallest signal could matter. That was when the strange sound reached his ears. It was faint, almost broken, like static whispering across the comm line. Aaron leaned forward, adjusting the receiver. At first he thought it was nothing more than space interference, but then he heard a pattern. The signal pulsed, faint but repeating. Someone or something was sending a call. He pressed a button to record the sound and ran a quick analysis. The system displayed a weak signal coming from a distant region far outside the mapped routes. The words were hard to understand, broken by interference, but Aaron caught enough to know it was not random. It was a distress call. Aaron turned his head toward the command chair, where Captain Doran sat. The captain was older, a man who had seen too many years of routine patrols and was now tired of surprises. Aaron spoke clearly. "Captain, I'm picking up a distress signal. Coordinates are far out, but the signal is steady." The captain glanced at him with half-interest. "A signal? Probably just background noise. Adjust your receiver and move on." "No, sir," Aaron said with more force. "It is not noise. It repeats every 32 seconds. It sounds like a plea for help." The captain sighed and leaned back. "Even if it is not our concern. Our orders are to patrol this border. We are not to waste fuel chasing shadows. Log it, forward it to Central Command, and leave it at that." Aaron hesitated. But what if they are in danger now? By the time Central responds, it could be too late. The captain's voice hardened. "Soldier, we cannot save every lost traveler in this galaxy. There are countless signals out there, and most are not even real. Do your job, nothing more." Aaron lowered his eyes, but did not silence his thoughts. The captain's words were true in part. Many signals were fake, old echoes, or traps set by raiders. But this one felt different. Aaron had listened carefully, and in the broken tones, he had heard something real. Desperation, fear, hope. When the captain left the chamber to rest, Aaron stayed at his post. He played the signal again and again, trying to decode the broken words. His system caught fragments. "Help us. Dying. Last of." The rest was lost in static. But it was enough. Somewhere, far away, someone was still alive and waiting. Aaron thought of his training. He thought of the promises he made when he joined the patrol fleet. Protect life. Stand where others will not. It echoed in his mind, stronger than the captain's orders. Hours passed. The ship drifted on its route. The others laughed, played games, or slept. Aaron remained awake, his eyes never leaving the signal. His heart beat faster as he made his choice. If no one else would respond, then he would. In the quiet of the night cycle, Aaron prepared. He studied the navigation charts and traced a path toward the signal. It was far beyond the safety of patrol lanes, into regions marked as unstable. Radiation storms, debris fields, and empty space stretched for light years. But still, he felt pulled toward it. He walked slowly to the hangar bay. Only a few maintenance workers were present, busy with repairs. No one paid much attention as Aaron entered his small shuttlecraft. It was not built for long travel, but it carried enough supplies for a short mission. More importantly, it had speed and stealth. Aaron sat in the pilot seat, his hands shaking slightly as he powered the shuttle. He opened a comm to the main ship one last time. "Iron Watch, Shuttle 3 going for routine check. I will return." His voice was steady, though inside he carried the weight of his decision. The hangar doors opened. The shuttle lifted, small, compared to the patrol ship, and drifted into the endless dark. As soon as Aaron cleared safe distance, he turned off the auto beacon. He was alone now. The stars stretched before him like a sea of fire. The distress signal grew stronger as he moved away from the patrol route. Each second felt heavier. He wondered if he had made a mistake. He wondered if the captain would punish him when he returned. But above all, he wondered who was waiting at the end of this signal. Hours turned into a full day. Aaron navigated through radiation clouds, guiding his shuttle carefully so the storms would not damage his systems. He passed by fields of floating rock, the remains of shattered moons. Each obstacle slowed him, but each mile brought him closer to the call. At times he almost lost hope. The signal broke again, weaker than before. But then, as if sensing his doubt, the call grew stronger, clearer. The broken words now carried more weight. Please. Survivors. Last. Help us. Aaron pressed forward with renewed strength. In the solitude of his shuttle, he thought of home. He thought of the world he grew up on, where his people lived, in safety, because someone before him had chosen to act when others ignored danger. Humanity's history was not of turning away, but of reaching out, of fighting for what was right even when the cost was high. He closed his eyes and whispered softly to himself, "If no one else answers, then I will." And so, alone in the dark, guided only by the faint cry of strangers, a single human soldier carried hope across the stars. The small shuttle moved steadily through the endless dark. Aaron sat in the pilot's chair, his eyes fixed on the flickering navigation screen. Every now and then, the shuttle shuddered as if it too questioned the wisdom of leaving the safety of the patrol ship. Aaron placed a steadying hand on the console and whispered encouragement to himself. He knew he was alone now. Alone, but not lost. The distress signal pulsed faintly through his comm receiver. It was broken and weak, yet it gave direction. Aaron set the shuttle on the course toward the unknown coordinates. His thoughts shifted between duty and doubt. He remembered the look on Captain Doran's face when he dismissed the signal. To the captain, the plea for help was just another false alarm, a distraction from orders. But to Aaron it had felt alive. He could almost feel the voices behind the message. Something told him the call was real, and that if he did not reach them, no one would. The shuttle's engines hummed softly as he adjusted speed. Supplies were limited. He had only enough fuel for the journey there and back if he traveled carefully. Food rations would last no more than a week. Aaron did the math in his head and tried to stay calm. He would need to rely not only on his training but on his own willpower. The first challenge came sooner than he expected. As the shuttle passed into the uncharted sector, the stars ahead blurred behind waves of energy. His sensors beeped warning after warning. A radiation storm stretched across his path. Bright flashes of purple and green lightning cracked across the void, filling the black with violent beauty. Aaron's heart raced. If he tried to cut through directly, the storm could fry his systems. If he waited for it to pass, he might lose the signal completely. He clenched his jaw and guided the shuttle along the edge of the storm. The shuttle groaned under the stress as radiation waves scraped against its shield. The screen flickered, alarms screamed, and for a moment Aaron thought he would be torn apart. But he held the controls steady. He remembered his training. Stay calm, make adjustments slowly, never panic. Inch by inch, the shuttle slid along the storm's edge, battered but not broken. Finally, after long, tense minutes, the storm faded behind him. Aaron let out a deep breath he had been holding and reset his course. The signal was weaker now, almost gone, but still there. Aaron leaned closer to the receiver, straining his ears as the words came through broken static. "Please, dying. Last of..." He hit replay again and again, trying to build a picture in his mind. Whoever sent this message had been desperate, sending the same cry over and over into the cold dark. Aaron wondered who they were. Were they human settlers stranded far from home? Or were they something else, a species he had never seen before? His commanders had taught him to be cautious with unknowns, but Aaron's heart told him that life was life, no matter its form. After 2 more days of slow travel, the shuttle crossed into a region filled with debris. Great chunks of rock and metal drifted across space like broken bones of forgotten battles. Some pieces were no bigger than his hand, but others were the size of entire buildings. Aaron slowed the shuttle and carefully threaded his way through. As he moved deeper into the debris field, he began to notice strange shapes. Not just rock, twisted metal, cracked hulls, and shattered weapons. He realized with a chill that this was the graveyard of ships. Long ago, a battle must have taken place here, leaving nothing but ruins. Aaron's scanner beeped as it picked up faint energy signatures from some of the wrecks. Old ships, long dead, yet still carrying fragments of power. He tried not to imagine the crews who had once fought here. His shuttle passed silently among them, a lone traveler in the shadows of the fallen. The distress signal grew stronger. Somewhere beyond this graveyard, the survivors waited. Aaron's determination hardened. He could almost feel their eyes upon him, as if they sensed his approach. Yet the journey tested him further. A large piece of wreckage spun suddenly into his path. He swerved, but the corner of his shuttle scraped against the metal. The shield flared and the hull shuddered. Red warning lights filled his vision. Aaron's hands flew over the controls, shutting down damaged systems and rerouting power. His heart pounded. If the shuttle broke apart here, his mission would end before it even began. He managed to steady the craft. The damage was light, but it reminded him of how fragile he was out here. One mistake, one unlucky strike, and he would join the dead ships in silence. Still, he pressed on. Hours turned into days. Aaron's supplies began to thin. He forced himself to eat only half a ration each meal, stretching his food as far as possible. His throat grew dry as he conserved water. Fatigue weighed on his body, but every time he thought of giving up, he played the distress call again. The broken words gave him strength. One night cycle, as he drifted through the dark, Aaron closed his eyes and thought of his home. He remembered his village, small but warm, where neighbors helped one another without question. He thought of his training, where instructors spoke of duty not only to command but to life itself. A soldier does not choose who is worth saving, they had said. A soldier acts when others do not. These words echoed inside him now more than ever. Finally, after endless travel, his scanner lit up with a faint planet ahead. Aaron leaned forward, his eyes wide. The distress signal was strongest here. He adjusted the course and brought the shuttle closer. As the planet came into view, Aaron's excitement turned to sorrow. The world below was scarred and dying. The skies glowed red, heavy with storms. The oceans were gone, leaving behind vast empty basins. The land was cracked and burned as if fire had swept across it for centuries. Aaron's breath caught in his throat. Who could have survived here? He circled the planet and found the source of the signal. A cluster of ruined towers jutted from the surface like broken teeth. His scanner confirmed faint life signs among them. Aaron felt a surge of energy. There were survivors. Against all odds, there were still living beings here. He guided the shuttle toward the ruins, every nerve alive with anticipation. He did not know who or what awaited him. He did not know if they would trust him or fear him. But he knew one thing. He was here because no one else had come. He was here because he chose to answer. As the shuttle descended through the storm-filled skies, Aaron tightened his grip on the controls and whispered, "Hold on. I am coming." And for the first time in years, the broken world below welcomed a visitor who had not ignored its call. The shuttle broke through the clouds of the ruined planet. Lightning cracked across the skies, painting the red dust below in flashes of white light. Aaron held the controls tightly as the shuttle shook from the turbulence. He guided it down with steady hands, searching for a clear space among the broken towers. Finally, the shuttle touched down on a cracked surface that might once have been a wide plaza. The ground was blackened by fire and scarred by deep lines, as if the earth itself had cried out. The shuttle's engines cooled, leaving only the sound of the storm rumbling far above. Aaron placed his helmet on, checked the seals of his suit, and opened the hatch. The air outside was harsh, filled with dust and smoke unfit for human lungs. He stepped carefully onto the broken stone, his boots pressing against a world that felt long abandoned. The ruins around him were tall but crumbling. Once they must have been towers of strength, perhaps the heart of a proud city. Now they leaned like dying trees, their surfaces scarred by blasts. Aaron's visor scanner beeped softly, confirming faint life signs deeper in the ruins. Aaron moved forward, his heart pounding. The silence of the city was heavy, as if the stones themselves carried grief. His every step echoed through the empty streets. Shadows danced between the broken walls, and in those shadows he felt eyes watching. "Hello?" Aaron called through his helmet speaker, his voice gentle. "I am here to help." "I followed your signal." No reply came, only the soft howl of the wind through shattered windows. He pressed forward, following his scanner. The signal led him into a large hall half buried under collapsed beams. Inside, the air was thick, but his suit held steady. He raised his light, and for the first time he saw them. They were not human. Their bodies were thin, almost fragile, with skin pale like faded stone. Their eyes were wide, glowing faintly with an inner light. Most lay against the walls, weak and still. A few tried to stand when they saw him, but their legs trembled, and they sank back down. Aaron stopped where they could see his hands. He raised them slowly, showing he carried no weapon. His voice was calm. "I am not here to harm you. I heard your call. I came because no one else did." The aliens looked at one another, their expressions filled with disbelief. Finally, one of them, taller than the rest, though thin and weary, stepped forward. His voice was soft but carried sorrow. "You answered?" Aaron nodded. "Yes, my name is Aaron. I am a soldier, but I am also here as a friend." The tall alien's eyes studied him carefully, as if searching for truth. Then his shoulders slumped with exhaustion. "We are the Naren. We thought no one would ever come." Aaron's heart tightened. He took a small pack from his suit and pulled out water pouches. He placed them on the floor and slid them gently toward the group. At first they did not move, but then one of the weaker Naren reached for a pouch with trembling hands. When the water touched their lips, relief showed in their glowing eyes. Soon others joined, drinking slowly, careful not to waste a drop. Aaron sat among them, speaking in calm tones. "I only have a little supply, but I will share all I can. Tell me what happened here." The tall Naren lowered himself to the ground, his voice shaking as he spoke. "Once this world was full of life. We had oceans, fields, cities, but we resisted the Empire." "Empire?" Aaron asked. The Naren nodded slowly. "A great power. They wanted us to bow to serve their rule. We refused. We believed in freedom. So they came with fire. They burned our seas, they shattered our skies. Many of us fought, many died. We sent calls for help to every corner of the stars. None came." He closed his eyes, his voice heavy. "We thought the galaxy had forgotten us. Only a handful of us remain now, hidden in the ruins. We survive only to remember." Aaron listened, his chest tight. The thought of an entire people destroyed for their courage struck him deeply. He looked around at the survivors. Children with hollow eyes, elders too weak to stand. Warriors broken not only in body but in spirit. His heart burned with quiet anger. "I am here now," Aaron said firmly. "I cannot undo what has been done, but I will not turn away. Tell me what you need most." The tall Naren looked at him, disbelief still in his glowing eyes. "Why? Why would a stranger from another world risk himself for us when even our allies did not?" Aaron thought for a moment, then answered simply, "Because someone had to. Because life matters. Because I could not listen and do nothing." Silence filled the hall after his words. The Naren studied him closely. Finally, the tall one bowed his head. "Then you are different. You carry a heart we thought was lost among the stars." Over the next hours, Aaron worked with them. He handed out food and water from his limited supply, making sure the weakest were fed first. He used his small medical kit to clean wounds and ease pain. The Naren watched him carefully, still uncertain but slowly opening. Children gathered near him, curious about his strange suit and human face. One of them, no older than 10 by human measure, touched his armored arm and whispered, "You came." "You really came." Aaron smiled behind his visor and nodded. "Yes, and I will not leave you." As the storm raged outside, Aran sat with the survivors and asked questions. He learned that the empire that destroyed them was not only powerful but still hunting. The Naren had been sending their distress call for years, yet no one dared to answer. They had become ghosts of history, forgotten by all but themselves. Aaron's mind raced with thoughts. He had little supply and only one shuttle. He could not take them all away, not yet. But he could listen. He could give them hope again. And perhaps with time he could find a way to bring more help. That night, as he sat near a small group of survivors, the tall Naren spoke again. "Human, your presence alone has already given us something we thought lost. You gave us proof that not all turn away, but you must be careful. If the Empire learns you are here, they will come. They destroy all who stand with us." Aaron's jaw tightened. "Then let them come. I will not leave you. If I must stand alone, I will stand." The Naren looked at him in silence. Slowly, some began to smile, faint but real. For the first time in years, they felt the warmth of hope. As the storms rolled over the broken world, a bond was born between a lone human soldier and a dying people. The galaxy had turned its back, but Aaron had answered, and that answer lit a spark in the ruins of despair. The storm outside raged on, shaking the ruined towers of the dead city, but inside the hall where the Naren huddled, there was a quiet strength forming. For the first time in many years, they had a visitor who did not turn away. Aaron sat among them, his helmet placed beside him, his face uncovered so they could see his human features. His eyes showed no fear, only steady resolve. The survivors gathered close. They were weak, but their glowing eyes carried a new spark, something close to belief. The tall Naren leader, who had introduced himself as Selan, leaned forward. His voice was soft but filled with weight. "Human soldier, you must understand. The empire that destroyed us does not forget. They still watch this region. If they sense movement or a new life signal, they will return to finish what they started." Aaron nodded slowly. "I understand, but hiding forever is no life. You have survived against all odds. If they come, then we prepare. We do not surrender." Selan studied him for a long moment. His thin face showed sorrow, but also a spark of admiration. "You speak with fire, but your ship is small, your supplies are fewer than ours. What can one soldier do against an empire?" Aaron's answer came without hesitation. "Stand. When others will not, I will." "That is enough to begin." The words carried through the hall. The younger Naren lifted their heads. Even the weak felt a stirring in their hearts. They had lived so long in despair that courage sounded like a forgotten song. Over the next hours, Aaron worked with them. He inspected the ruins, searching for anything that could still function. He found broken machines, shattered weapons, scraps of metal, and half-buried power cells. To the Naren, these were useless remains. To Aaron, they were pieces waiting for purpose. He rolled up his sleeves and began repairs. His hands were steady as he worked with tools from his shuttle. He showed the Naren how to fuse broken panels, how to create barriers from fallen stone, how to use old power cells for small energy traps. Children gathered around, watching his every movement. Some even began to help, passing tools with eager hands. Selan approached as Aaron tightened a loose connection. "Why do you work so hard? You could leave. You could save yourself and return to your fleet." Aaron looked up, sweat on his brow but determination in his eyes. "Because if I leave, you will die. And I cannot carry that weight. If I must risk my life to give you even a chance, then it is worth it." Selan said nothing. But for the first time in years, he felt the old pride of his people. Day by day, the ruins began to change. What was once only broken stone became a shelter with defenses. Old towers were reinforced to act as watchpoints. Cracks in the ground were turned into traps. Energy cells powered lights in the hall, driving away the endless dark. The Naren watched in awe as Aaron taught them. He did not act as a commander who demanded obedience, but as a brother who stood beside them. He showed them how to fight with discipline, how to use courage even against greater numbers. Slowly, the weak began to stand straighter. Their voices grew louder. They began to believe, but Aaron knew the danger was real. His shuttle's long-range scanner picked up faint readings, movements in space not far from the planet. The Empire's ships were near. He told Selan quietly one night, "They will come soon. They have not forgotten this place. They will sense your signal," was answered. Selan's glowing eyes dimmed with worry. "We are not ready. We are too few." Aaron placed a firm hand on his shoulder. "Numbers are not everything. I have seen small forces win against great ones when they held courage. We will fight smart. We will fight together." Selan looked at him with quiet respect. "You remind me of the leaders we once had before the fall. Perhaps fate sent you here." When the warning came, it was sudden. A young Naren scout rushed into the hall, his chest heaving. Ships in the sky. "They come." The survivors grew still, fear tightening their faces. Memories of fire and death filled their hearts. But Aaron stepped forward, his voice clear and strong. "Do not fear. You are not alone this time. We will stand." He gathered them quickly, assigning positions. Some were placed at the watchtowers, some at the barricades, others to guard the children and elders in the hall. Aaron stood at the front, his rifle ready. He had polished the old Naren weapons, and though they were weak compared to the Empire's, in the right hands they could still wound. The sky above split with fire as the enemy ships descended. Dark shapes pierced the storm, their engines roaring. Aaron's jaw tightened. He had faced battles before, but never with so little. Still, he felt no fear. Instead, he felt pride. Pride in these people who refused to die quietly. The first enemy troops landed in the ruins. They were tall, armored, their movements cold and precise. They marched forward with weapons glowing. Their leader raised a hand and called out, "Naren, you survived longer than expected. Surrender now and we may grant mercy." Aaron stepped forward before Seelan could reply. His voice rang out across the broken plaza. "They will not surrender. If you want them, you must come through me." The enemy soldiers turned their heads, surprised to see a human. Their leader sneered. "A lone human soldier dares to stand in our path? You are nothing." Aaron raised his rifle, his eyes unshaken. Nothing can still stand when no one else will. And that is enough. With that, the battle began. The ruins exploded with light as the Naren fired from hidden positions. Traps set by Aaron triggered. Collapsing stone onto advancing soldiers. Arrows of energy streaked across the plaza, striking enemy armor. The Empire's troops returned fire, their blasts tearing holes through the stone. The air filled with sound and heat. Aaron moved like a storm, his rifle steady, his aim sharp. He struck where it mattered most, covering the Naren, drawing enemy attention. When their lines wavered, he shouted encouragement, lifting their spirits. "Hold your ground. Do not fear them. Together we are stronger." The Naren fought with renewed strength. Their voices rose, not with despair, but with courage. They had hidden for years, but now, with one human by their side, they found their pride again. The battle raged through the night. Enemy soldiers fell, traps claimed more, and still the Empire pressed forward. Aaron's arms ached, his body bruised, but he never stopped. Each time he looked at the children watching from the hall, his strength returned. By dawn, the ruins were quiet again. The enemy had withdrawn, leaving their dead among the broken stone. Smoke rose into the stormy sky, but the Naren still stood. Many were wounded, but none had fled. Seelan approached Aran, his voice thick with emotion. "We stood. For the first time since the fall, we stood and did not break. Because of you," Aaron shook his head. "Because of all of us. I only lit the fire. You carried it." The Naren gathered around him, their glowing eyes filled with gratitude. They had lost so much, yet now they had gained something powerful. They had gained hope. As the sun broke weakly through the clouds, Aaron looked toward the horizon. He knew the Empire would return. The battle was not over, but he also knew that this was only the beginning. For once, the forgotten world had found a defender, and where others had ignored, one human soldier had chosen to stand. The ruins were quiet after the battle. Smoke drifted through broken streets, and the first light of morning spread across the shattered towers. The Naren gathered near the great hall, tending to their wounded, repairing weapons, and clearing debris. For the first time in many years, they stood with pride. They had faced the Empire's soldiers and lived, but Aaron knew the fight was not over. What they had defeated was only a vanguard force. The Empire did not forgive resistance. They would return, stronger and in greater numbers. He stood on the broken wall, scanning the horizon, his armor scarred but his spirit steady. His mind was already preparing for what was to come. Seelan joined him, his glowing eyes reflecting the pale morning light. "We survived the night," he said. "You gave us back our courage. But will it be enough when the Empire comes with its fleet?" Aaron's jaw tightened. "I cannot promise victory, but I know this. If we show them that even the smallest voices will not be silenced, it will shake them. They thrive on fear. If we take that from them, we become dangerous." Seelan looked at him with quiet respect. "Dangerous, yes. I begin to believe that." The next days were filled with preparation. The Naren worked with a new kind of determination. Where once they built only for survival, now they built for defiance. They strengthened walls, rebuilt towers, and prepared weapons. Children carried stones and water, proud to be part of the effort. The old taught the young, and the young carried hope forward. Aaron trained them harder than before. He pushed them not to break them, but to make them see their own strength. He showed them how to fight as one, how to turn the ruins into a battlefield that favored them. They learned quickly. Fear no longer guided their steps. Purpose did. At night, around the fires, Aaron shared stories of humanity. He spoke of wars long past, where small groups stood against overwhelming forces and refused to fall. The Naren listened with wide eyes. These stories gave them a vision of what they could become. "Numbers do not decide everything," Aaron said. "Belief does. When you believe in something greater than yourself, you become more than you were. That is what it means to fight with heart." The Naren carried his words deep within them. Slowly, the despair that had ruled their lives turned into pride. One evening, the scouts returned with grim news. A fleet was approaching, larger than before. Dozens of ships heavy with soldiers and firepower. The Empire was coming to erase the last memory of Naren resistance. Fear touched the survivors again, but this time it did not break them. They gathered around Aaron in the Great Hall. Salen spoke for all of them. "We will not run. We will not hide. If this is to be our end, then let it be a story that is remembered. You gave us that gift, human. Stand with us one more time." Aaron nodded. His voice was steady. "I will stand with you until the last moment. And if we fall, we will fall as warriors, not as shadows." The night before the fleet's arrival, Aaron walked alone among the ruins. He touched the cracked stone walls, the broken towers, the old roads where once life had thrived. He thought of his own people far away, safe and unaware of this forgotten world. He wondered if they would ever know what happened here, but he did not fight for recognition. He fought because he could not ignore the call. That simple truth gave him peace. Dawn came with fire in the sky. The Empire's fleet broke through the clouds, dark ships blotting out the light. Engines roared like thunder, and the ground shook as soldiers descended in waves. Their weapons glowed, their banners spread wide. The Empire had come in full force. The Naren stood ready. Their defenses lined the streets, their weapons steady in their hands. Selen took his place beside Aaron on the front wall. "They come in numbers greater than we imagined," he said. Aaron raised his rifle, his eyes calm. "Then let us show them our courage is greater still." The battle began with the sky itself tearing open. The Empire's ships rained fire, but the walls held. Explosions shook the ground, yet the defenders stood firm. When soldiers advanced, traps hidden in the ruins exploded. The Naren fired from windows, towers, and barricades, striking down wave after wave. Aaron moved where the fight was fiercest. His rifle never missed. His voice lifted the weary. His hands pulled the fallen to safety. To the Naren, he became a beacon in the storm. Wherever he stood, they found strength to keep fighting. The Empire pressed harder. Their machines rolled across the ruins, crushing stone beneath heavy wheels. Soldiers in dark armor stormed the barricades, but the Naren met them with fire and steel. Each street became a battlefield, each corner a trap. Hours passed, and still the defenders held. The Empire had expected an easy victory, not a resistance burning with defiance. Confusion spread among their ranks. How could a broken people fight with such fury? Aaron knew the answer. They fought because they were no longer alone. As the sun sank low, the battle reached its peak. The Empire's commander stepped forward, a towering figure in black armor, his voice echoing across the ruins. "Enough, you cannot stop the Empire. Lay down your arms, and I will spare what remains of you." The Naren faltered at his words, but Aaron climbed the wall and shouted back, "We will not kneel. We will not vanish. You may destroy these stones, you may take our lives, but you will never erase us. This world still breathes because we choose to stand. And as long as even one stands, you have not won." His words ignited the Naren like fire. Their fear turned to rage, their despair to defiance. They raised their weapons and roared together, a cry so fierce it shook the very sky. The final clash came with brutal force. The Empire charged, and the defenders met them head-on, street by street, wall by wall. They fought with every ounce of strength left in their bodies. Aaron stood at the front, never retreating, never bending. His armor was torn, his body bleeding, but still he fought. At last, when the battle's fire dimmed and smoke covered the ruins, the Empire withdrew. Their commander, wounded and furious, signaled retreat. They had lost too many, and the cost of victory was greater than they had imagined. The fleet lifted into the sky, leaving behind only silence. The Naren stood among the wreckage, exhausted but alive. Their world was scarred, their numbers still few, but they had done what none believed possible. They had resisted the Empire and survived. Selen turned to Aaron, his voice filled with awe. "You came when all others ignored us. You gave us back our strength. You have written your name in our history." Aaron shook his head. "This is not my story. It is yours. I only stood with you. The choice to fight was always yours to make." But the Naren did not forget. To them, Aaron was the soldier who answered when the galaxy turned away. He became a symbol, not of power, but of courage, of the simple truth that one voice can change everything. That night, under the quiet stars, the survivors gathered in the Great Hall. They sang songs not heard in centuries, voices rising in harmony. Aaron sat among them, tired but content. He knew he might never return to his own people, never see home again. But here, In the heart of a broken world, he had found something greater than victory. He had found hope, and in the history of the Naren, his name would forever be remembered as the soldier who answered when all others ignored.